Any questions?
What is this?
We're back. This is the Joba and the Mouth Show.
I'm putting you on a leash now. A lot of hot ladies. I farted. Do you want to jerk me off?
I do not want to jerk you off. 631-672-3108 is the number to call.
I have no sack.
He doesn't have any sack. You're listening to Joba and the Mouth. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Joba Chamberlain, and the speedster, Speedy Petey. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the one and only Joba and the Mouth, every single Mondays and Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Before we get our guest in, he's hanging out in his car and hopefully not doing anything crazy. Well, let's stay away from that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are brought to you by the one and only Ice Shaker. Go to iceshaker.com and shop all their official license collections from Star Wars to Marvel and so much more. Enjoy your free shopping or shipping or shopping or whatever the hell you want. $50 or more, you get free. Go to iceshaker.com to check out all their great products and deals. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want your Memphis Grizzlies wonderful Ice Shaker with the nice little shotgun in the back of it, ladies and gentlemen, go to Ice Shaker and get your Memphis Grizzlies Ice Shaker. If you're a New York Knicks fan and you like to lay up absolute duds in a Game 1 Eastern Conference Finals, you can get one. And Karl-Anthony Towns, the flopping bastard he is, go get your Ice Shaker. And if you want to see the one and only Anthony Edwards cry because he only gets 13 shots, and you want to get an absolute debacle of an Anthony Edwards Ice Shaker, you can go to iceshaker.com and get one of those. I know Anthony Edwards would. And now, ladies and gentlemen, he's been waiting calmly and carefully in his car and hanging out, as he always does. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now talking to our friend, Memphis Grizzlies play-by-play broadcaster, Eric Hasseltine. Eric, what's up, buddy? You like that?
Well, you asked if I'm doing anything crazy. Yeah, I'm doing something crazy. I'm sitting in a car in Memphis. Do you know our carjacking rates? So if you see somebody roll up to my window, just give me a heads up. A little delayed dad taxi stuff tonight. I was trying to get back to the house, but on my way now. So.
That's fine, and we want to apologize. I know you're a busy guy, and we're just happy that we're happy that you're joining us because I know you're a busy guy. But guess what? The season is over, and you don't have to watch that debacle as we've watched throughout the season. The Memphis Grizzlies go up and down. I am a big Ja Morant fan, and I want to get into the Ja Morant story. Your thoughts to Ja Morant's season this year, coming back from all the accolades, and then during the season, I mean, at the end of the season, the shooting up in the air with his hand gestures. What are your thoughts to Ja Morant season 1, and what are your thoughts to Ja Morant doing the things that he did offset as well?
Well, I think when you start with the season, you have to go back to that he tore his labrum last year. And so I felt like he came back early. Now, obviously, medical personnel will tell you whether he's good to go or not, and he'll tell you whether he's good to go. But if you ask a pro athlete that wants to be a star, they're going to want to play any chance they get. So his shot just didn't look the same, and, the shoulder soreness. And then it really kind of unraveled. You got frustrated fans. You got a lot of people chattering in social media. And I thought some of it appeared to get to him. And so there was some frustration, a new offense, a change in the assistant coaches. And one of the guys that left was his workout guy. And I equated it like this, guys. And I've said this, I'm not afraid to say it. And it's nothing against the guy that took the departed coach's place. But when I watched him work out with the guy that left, whose name was Blake Ahern, or is Blake Ahern, he looked like he was having fun. When I watched him with the new guy, it looked like he was just doing it because he had to. I equated it to a kid getting an ice cream cone to a kid getting a stick of broccoli. It just didn't look the same. And so you switch the offense. Now you're all 5 out. It's more ball movement and less one guy dominating the possession. You drafted a 7'3", 300-pound center to set screens for a guy, and now you're literally not setting any screens. So I think there was some frustration. I think the coaching staff was put in a really difficult place by deciding to change the assistant coaches, even though the head coach didn't seemingly want to do that, but he went along with it. And then everybody questioned whether or not the coach was a sitting duck, which he turned out to be when they fired him with 9 games left. And, that's a front office's decision to make. But when your star player isn't down with it, you got a problem. Now, with the other antics that you're talking about, my belief is this. Look, it's never a right to be a professional athlete. It's a privilege. You've earned that privilege with God-given talent. But the league can still tell you, hey, these are our rules. Whether you like them or not, you can choose to break them. That's fine, but there are penalties. And so I'm not saying that Josh shouldn't do the things he wants to do, but if you do something they tell you to stop doing, then be prepared for the consequences. And I don't think, obviously, that this is, a situation where other guys don't make the same gestures, because they do. But other guys weren't suspended twice for brandishing a firearm on social media. And so there's got to be some sort of awareness with that. Now, the way I saw it, just from my eyes, was the first time he did it and the Warriors complained about it. My guess is, and I'm not privy, I'm just totally guessing, that they probably got a phone call that said, hey, stop pointing your fingers at your opponents. So the next game, he pointed them at Scottie Pippen Jr. every play. And that's his teammate. So he's like, all right, I did exactly what you said. I didn't point them at my opponent. I pointed them at my teammate. And then reportedly there was a warning saying if you do it again, then, there's going to be consequences. So after that, he got fined, and then he went to I'm throwing word bombs and doing the grenade thing, which everybody kind of chuckled at. And you see his influence, because you got kids now doing that in, AAU ball. They just had a big Nike EYBL tournament here. I can't tell you how many text messages I got from people at the event going, this kid just did the jaw word bomb. And I'm like, okay, great. You know what? It's summertime. We got swept. I'm doing something else. I don't care. But I think the guy showed at times, again, he's one of the most talented players in the league. I think he has an opportunity to earn that back. He said all the right things at the end of the year about the new coach, Tuomas Isalo. He seems to really get along with them. They're going to bring Zach Edey out to Summer League. They made that announcement to get him to understand the offense. And if Zach understands the offense, that gives him someone in that role that Steven Adams played for years, which allowed Ja to really get downhill and break down defenses. And that just wasn't happening last year. Now, they played fast. They scored a ton of points, and it was a different system. But the one thing I think you guys would understand and know about is when you throw something different at a league, it takes them a minute to catch up. But about game 40, when teams had seen the tape and seen what the offense was doing, and the Warriors were the first team to kind of write the game plan, we saw nothing but shell zone defense and nobody protecting the middle, because the Grizzlies weren't going to attack the middle. They never did, and they weren't going to be in the paint. They were going to be on the perimeter. They might get Jaren Jackson to score up a big that he could overpower, but other than that, it was pass, chuck it up from beyond the line, or get all the way to the rim on a breakaway. So teams figured it out, and when they figured it out, the offense kind of stagnated. And then they got to the second half of their schedule, which was loaded with playoff teams, and they did not produce victories. And so despite the fact they won 48 games, made the playoffs, at one point this was the number 2 team in the West. And I vividly remember a night where they were playing Oklahoma City, and we're like, okay, here's your test. This is clearly the best team in the West. You're right now in the 2 spot. Where do you stand? And a 23-point loss later, you went, maybe this is some of this fattening up on the bad teams that you saw early in the schedule and teams that aren't going to be in the playoff picture. And then they go play a really, really good game, but make a mistake and still find a way to win. And you went, all right, you beat the Timberwolves twice, and you could have beaten the Rockets 2 out of the 3 losses that you had. And you threw a game away here, but you're blowing out these other teams. But after the All-Star break, I think the team that kind of got them is now the team that's making the most noise in the NBA, and it's Indiana. They put a 50-point third quarter on them, and we all kind of looked at each other and went, well, that escalated in a hurry, fellas. And the second half after that was kind of just it was a rough go, to say the least.
Eric, why are you trying to hurt our feelings? You had to bring up the Pacers. You had to bring up we were good. Me and you were good. And then you had to bring up the Indiana Pacers and piss me off.
Yeah, well, you can blame us for giving them confidence, I guess. Look, don't foul up 3 with 14 seconds. Let them take the shot.
Dude, that was the luckiest roll I've ever seen a player have in a playoff game. I mean, that
You're
went up,
not like,
that hit off the back of the rim and went 15 feet in the air and went right in. It spun right into the rim. I mean, what are the chances that happening?
very little. But this is the third time they've seemed to do something like this. But I just thought Thibodeau made a mistake fouling that early. So, and again, and because you're basically putting all the pressure on your free throw shooter. 6 seconds, I'm all for it. 14, I went little early. Just let the guy take an off balance three and get the possession, give it to Brunson. But I'm not an NBA coach, so look. Our season ended in a 4-0 sweep. So who am I to say anything to anybody? What the hell do I know?
Well, you've been the Grizzlies play-by-play guy for a long time, so you know something, obviously, or they wouldn't be keeping you in that position.
I know I'm old. And I've seen a lot of crappy basketball over the years.
Well, hold on, Eric. How old are you?
907. No, 52.
You're 52, so you're only, you're 9 years older than me. You're not that old, Eric. Stop making yourself older than you should be, because then you're making me as ancient as you. Okay, please.
Hey, I'm still dating 35 and under. I'm good.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about, Eric. He's a sugar daddy. Hey, I'll be whatever they want me to be, as long as they come home. We're good.
Good for you, Eric. I've never met you, but I already like you. That's fantastic.
So, Eric,
what kind of laugh is that? What are you, a crow or something? What the hell is that? Go ahead, Speedy, spit it out.
All right, so another guy that's making headlines is the guy that used to be with your team, Dylan Brooks, and Draymond Green definitely feuding. We've seen Dylan Brooks feuding with a bunch of other guys. What are your thoughts of the whole rivalry with the two of them, both when he was at Memphis with you and now seeing it in this postseason?
Oh, gosh. Look, I got along with Dylan. Dylan's a different dude. He's that guy that when you see him outside the gym, you're cool, everything's fine. You see him in the gym, this guy would walk by you and not even blink. I don't even think he saw anybody around him when he got to the arena. And I thought he embraced that Dylan the villain role, but maybe took it too far. I love the way he played, but when Dylan Brooks tried to be more than Dylan Brooks was when the Grizzlies kind of had issues. And it was a wild stat when he was here. When he scored 20 or more points, the Grizzlies were 23-4. But the only times he scored 20 points was when he took less than 15 shots. And that doesn't make sense. You're like, this doesn't add up. So he would be trying to get to 20 and failing and taking bad shots. Now, when those two teams met, there was some rivalry there. And then Dylan, look, in the heat of the moment, he made a bad decision. He was not going to block Gary Payton's shot on a breakaway. I remember vividly watching him go up and going, what are you doing? Because Gary Payton has what they call the bounce, as you guys know. Mm-hmm. And Dylan is not that bouncy. And when he was a step behind, it's kind of one of those ones, you want to foul him, fine, but you don't try to go up hard. And Payton falls, breaks his wrist. And, of course, the next thing I know, I'm walking through San Francisco before Game 3, and everybody's driving by me going, hey, man, you're number one, except it's not number one. It's the middle finger salute. And I'm like, oh. I go, oh, I get it. I got a Grizzlies shirt on. I forgot not to put this on this morning. We literally were warned when we went out there for Game 3 in that series, hey, you might not want to wear the team gear around the city. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's San Francisco. Nobody cares. Yeah, it turns out they do. Because we could walk to our hotel from the arena, and it was beautiful out. And I'm like, all right, I'll just walk back. And I'm hearing hey, yo, buddy. And I'm like, who are you talking to? Why are you yelling at me? I grew up out here. I'm like, nobody does this. I'm not in New York where I expect that stuff, and I respect it. But then Draymond, I thought, he really kind of stoked it all up when he said, look, if the Grizzlies are relying, I think the quote was, if the Grizzlies are relying on this idiot to give them a championship, there's not going to be a parade in their city ever. And that was the whole big John Morant, there's going to a parade in my city thing he was playing off of. And Dylan took that to heart, and then he did it with LeBron. He did it with Steph. And, he just gets under your skin. But the one thing I will give the guy a ton of credit for is he's a hell of a defender. And I think in a lot of ways, nobody will admit it, he's got a lot of respect for the way Draymond plays. Draymond plays physical. He plays tough. He goes at officials. I mean, I laughed when Nikola Jokic got thrown out of a game, and they said, well, he used profanity at an official. And I said, That's how Draymond Green addresses you guys. How does he stay in? Like, he doesn't call you by your name. He's like, hey, dude, like, it's, hey, MFer, like, and that's what he calls you. But they understand that. And I'll tell you, like, I had a conversation with an official outside the arena. We just ran into each other. He goes, hey, tell Dylan 30 seconds into the game, he doesn't need to be complaining about every call. And I was like, you know Dylan. And he goes, yeah, we all know Dylan. And I went, okay, that'll be fun. So I like that rivalry with them. I think there's more room in our game for dislike. I mean, Joba will tell you, I'm sure, when you played the Red Sox, you didn't exactly want to go over and, like, give them bro hugs. If they, were yapping, they were going to get one in the ear hole. And, back in the day, if you came across the lane, I've become friends with Rick Mahorn. He'll tell you the same thing. He working for the Pistons. He's like, if you came in the lane and I set a screen and you kept coming, I was going to let you know, like, I'm going to hit you. You're not going to not feel me. And I think there's room for more of that. And the league this year allowed guys to be more physical, and some guys couldn't take it. And Dylan was embracing that to the point where I was like, yo, man, that, like, when he did it like Desmond Bain, I'm like, that was your best friend here. Why are you, like, knocking him to the floor? And I'm like, wait, you're not on the same team. When the ball goes in the air, I don't want you to be my friend. I want to kick your butt. And I respect that about him.
Eric, I love that you brought that up because I wanted to ask you a question because we see it from afar. You see it up front. For you, and, like, obviously dealing with commentary and all the other stuff, like, when you see things and you have these interactions and you see it on the court, do you think there needs to be more guys that embrace that, like, hey, you're in the league, I'm going to give you what you need? And do you think that Ja at the same time is kind of like he's in between that because he's like, I'm going to be me and I'm going to do my thing? Or do you think he needs to kind of take a step back and be like, just understand the game and how good he is?
I think for Ja, it all happens so fast. It's one of those rocket ships to stardom situations where, you come from Murray State, you burst on the scene, you have an amazing NCAA tournament, and all of a sudden you're going to be an NBA lottery pick in a very small town, and the bright lights are there. I think you let people be who they can be. I've always said this about a professional athlete. Look, if I had the God-given ability to play any professional sport, you give me my pick, whether it's shortstop for the Yankees, quarterback for my favorite team, the Packers, or any NFL team. I'm 24 years old, and I've got millions of dollars in my pocket, or I'm a point guard for the Lakers, and every girl in the building wants my number and wants to talk to me. And with social media, they're coming at you from 9 million different directions. Hey, go live your life. Be a 24-year-old stud. Have a blast. Do your thing until it affects your play on the court. When Ja got named to the All-Star team, you got people coming out of the woodwork, and that's part of the downfall of social media. These guys are making a pile of money from the exposure, but they also are subject to all the criticism. Well, Ja gets on the plane. He's celebrating his first All-Star appearance, breaks out the bottle of Patron. He's taking a hit of it. His dad's taking a hit of it. He tries to hand it to a security guard who I'm very good friends with, and he goes, hey, I'm on the job. And he's like, not on the plane, you're not. But I know his security guard doesn't drink. And everybody's like, come on, man, you're a role model for kids. You can't drink tequila out of the bottle. And I'm like, why not? He's of legal drinking age. He's not operating a car. He's flying to the All-Star game. It's not like he has a game tomorrow. Let him celebrate. But if you take it too far and now you're doing things that are putting yourselves in harm's way, like, be yourself to a point where you're not endangering yourself. And I'm not going to sugarcoat the way things are in Memphis right now, guys. It's rough. I mean, they're sending 1,500 FBI agents here to try to help clean it up because the crime rate is not good. The violent crime rate is not good. I mean, we had 3,500 cars stolen in a year. Do the math. That's a lot every day. And people here are just in that, hey, we're a blue-collar, grinded-out city, and there's been a big change since, the pandemic, and people are out of work, and people are struggling. And so, there's an easy way to make money, and we all know breaking the law can do that. But when you put yourself in harm's way, and the point I'm bringing up is I know about 75 people that have firearms in their vehicles. They have a license to carry them. They're legal here, but they're not getting on social media and showing that. And they're also not getting on social media with 6 million followers going live, singing to a song and brandishing that after they've been suspended. That's where I go, you can be yourself. I don't have a problem with it, as long as you don't put yourself in harm's way. And to me, I always said this: if you feel like you need to bring a gun to the club you're going to, go to a different club. Just go to a different one. Find
Don't
one you
go
don't
there.
fit. Or if you feel like you need to have that kind of protection, or you want to go to the club where all the ladies are, I'm pretty sure you have enough money to rent out the entire floor of the team hotel and bring them to you. And then nobody knows. And then don't turn on the Instagram live. There's a way to go about it. But I can't tell people how to live their life, because if I sat here and told you guys when I was 25 years old I didn't do dumb stuff all the time, I'd be the biggest liar on the planet. I did things that I probably should have gotten in more trouble for that I didn't. I got lucky. Unfortunately, now for an athlete of that magnitude and of that kind of notoriety, you're going to get recognized and you're going to have a target. And now you're talking about being around circles where in this city, and I'm not trying to say we're like the hardest place on the planet or anything like that, but that type of life in this city is very real. And these guys don't care that you're an NBA star. If you go in there and cross the wrong guys, you got problems. And people have kind of made that very clear to him. So
it's
be yourself, but don't throw it all away.
It's crazy. You bring up, you said 3,500 cars. It's better than 3,500 bodies. So I would say that. But,
not far off there either.
Well, that's probably true, too. But, it's crazy. I got a chance recently to watch the Gilbert Arenas 30 for 30. And if nobody,
so did I.
And I didn't really get a chance to watch that because it's been out for a while, but it's now on Hulu. If anybody has Hulu, get it. If you have a chance to go watch it on the Disney app, it's great. 30 for 30. It's sensational. It's also on Netflix as well. It's interesting because I didn't know the story behind it until I got a chance. And I used to blame Gilbert Arenas for the gun situation. And it kind of was, but it wasn't. And the story is with the NBA. The NBA has really taken a big handle on this because of that Gilbert Arenas story. And Gilbert Arenas was only suspended for 50 games. And obviously the back end of it is there was an NBA player, a part of that story, that went to jail for a significant amount of time because he killed somebody. So because of the whole Gilbert Arenas story. So the fact is that the NBA is doing the right thing, trying to get John Morant to kind of try to clean this thing up before it gets worse. And where he might not have a career or might do something stupid where he could be going to jail for the next 25 to life type of, situation. So it's a terrible thing that Gilbert Arenas has. I mean, the Gilbert Arenas story, but it's even more when you have a young player of this magnitude, John Morant, who is a superstar, one of the biggest electrifying players in the NBA, and he can't control his self on the court as well as off the court. As everybody knows, we are talking to Memphis Grizzlies play-by-play broadcaster Eric Hasseltine. Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me give you a side note to that. The documentary Shooting Guards.
Yes.
Both of those guys were in Memphis at different times. Javaris Crittenden before we were the team that sent him to Washington, and then Gilbert came to us after. And
I didn't know that.
I was so shocked with the Javaris Crittenden story.
Yes.
When I had interactions with that guy, so we on our broadcast, we stopped doing the before the game. You have, team broadcasters will go, hey, we're talking to, let's say we're interviewing Joba before a game. And it's like, hey, Joba, you guys face the Red Sox today. How tough is it to get to get Nomar Garcia-Parra out at that time? And you're like, well, it's hard. He's hitting 347. What do you think? It's easy? I'm just going to throw him a 87-mile-an-hour cookie fastball. I've got to move the ball in. I got to move it out. I got to change speeds. I got to see where his hitting zone is today. It's the same. It's like, what am I going to say to a guy? What's it like to guard Kobe Bryant? Well, it's hard, dummy. He's Kobe Bryant. What do you think? So Javaris and I had some honest conversations. He was really bummed out. He didn't get picked by Atlanta that year, and they went with AC Law instead with the second pick. We actually thought they were gonna take Mike Conley that year. Instead, he fell into our lap. And so Javaris, when he was here, was nothing but a gentleman, was great. I saw no signs of that. And I remember somebody telling me, going, hey, you know that guy, like when he was in LA, was kind of tied to the Crips. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, no way. Like that, you just you don't get that sense from him. He was just super easygoing, polished. And when you saw the documentary, it's like, it's because he had nobody there to lean on, and these guys made him feel welcome. We get Gilbert after, and you know, all that prankster stuff you saw in that documentary.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He was still had some of that, but it was a lot more guarded. And I think he felt responsibility.
It was his fault.
For the fact,
it was
his fault. For the fact that, you know, he thinks he's being funny, not knowing that Javaris is going like, hey, where I'm from in Atlanta and with my boys that I run in LA, we don't joke around about this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this documentary and I'm going, how wild is it that both of those guys, when I walk into the arena every day, we have every team picture, and I've shown my son who's 13 years old, and, you know, he's like, who is this guy? And I go, well, that guy made a big mistake, dude. That guy, some guy stole from him. He went after him, shot, missed him, or hit a woman, and did real jail time. And about Gilbert, one of the greatest players of his time.
Yes, he was.
We got him at the tail end of his career. And so, yeah, that documentary, it really changed how people look at it. And so, you know, the big question with Ja when that thing happened in Denver was, did he bring the gun on the plane?
Right.
And you're like, well, I can't answer that. I don't know if it was on the plane or if it was in his luggage going underneath. Nobody knows. Nobody knows if he had it. Somebody with him in Denver handed it to him. I don't know.
Eric,
I know he screamed, so.
Eric, the problem is with the NBA is with that whole story with Gilbert Arenas, he was actually buying guns in different states and flying them in
and
an
NBA
back in an NBA plane, and that's why he was suspended for 50 games. He wasn't suspended for the fact that he brought a loaded gun to a locker room.
Right.
I mean, that to me it tells me that the NBA has no control over their players. And with the whole Adam Silver, and I say this, and everybody knows on the show, I don't call it the NBA, I call it the LJA. LeBron James Association, because ever since LeBron James has come to this league, he controls it. He controls the league and the pace. Is it a coinky dink that LeBron James gets Luka Doncic at the trade deadline and the Mavericks win the draft, the lottery draft? They had a 1.8% chance of winning the lottery, and they win the lottery. But you watch the NHL, by the way, and we watch the lottery. They actually do it in front of the television, like in front of the screen. In the NBA, they close the door. Do you think it's a coinky dink that the Mavericks won the draft after losing their best player and practically giving them away to the Lakers for absolutely a bag of balls?
See, the only reason the only thing that I can't get down with the conspiracy theory on the draft is you got to get 13 other teams to go, yeah, we're cool if we don't get Cooper Flag. We're okay with it. And it's $1 billion, multi-billion-dollar company that now you're saying, I'm with you. But they went back to the Patrick Ewing draft, and growing up in the Bay Area, we're in Golden State, the worst team in the league. We're like, oh my gosh, we might get Patrick Ewing. And the word was that they put the Knicks plaque in the freezer, and if David Stern felt cold, he wasn't going to pull that envelope. So every time he touched it, it was cold. He grabbed another one, and the Warriors ended up with Chris Mullin, which was great. But I think look, you're talking about Nico Harrison. This is the same guy that in a meeting when he was with Nike called him Stephen Curry and said, hey, Stephen, nice to meet you. And he goes, yeah, I think I'm going to go to Under Armour, who just sent Kent Bazemore, an undrafted guy out of Old Dominion, like 5 cases of gear to give away. And Nike's sweating me over getting some extra golf stuff for my dad. I'm going to switch brands here. And that was that summer where Under Armour got, who'd they get? Bryce Harper, Steph Curry, Jordan Spieth, and all of a sudden Under Armour goes, yeah, hey, here we go. Let's bring it on. So I just, look, LeBron is the guy that stirs everything up. There's no doubt about it.
LJA.
But
I want you to do that when you're on live.
LJA.
LJA. Don't call it the NBA anymore. The LJA.
Your next Lakers Grizzlies broadcast. This is the LJA production.
I like collecting a paycheck every 2 weeks, so I might have to do that on the down low with you guys. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, man. Could you imagine?
I don't need Adam Silver mad at me. I think he's got some – Adam Silver's got some hidden fight in him. When we had our broadcast meetings this year, he came in, and I swear I just thought he was this mild-mannered guy. And this dude just went to town with, I mean, it was like almost Jerry West-like.
He's one of the ugliest men you'll ever see, dude. He's got the biggest friggin' ears. His nose sticks out like friggin' Pinocchio. And the guy really kisses. Dude, he might as well get on his hands and knees and kiss LeBron James's ass, because that's what he does. I mean, every single time LeBron James is out there on social media, it's okay. It's okay, LeBron. You can do whatever you want. But if it was somebody else, or Kevin Durant with his Twitter feeds, all 7 or 8 of them hiding behind his Twitter feeds, I mean, it's pathetic, dude. And here's another thing. Do we remember the Kyrie Irving antics, the anti-Semitic views that he had? Isn't Adam Silver Jewish? And he just,
I believe so.
He just brushed it under the rug. Who cares? Who cares? There's no Holocaust. I mean, seriously, it's pathetic. Adam Silver needs to, and I used to like Adam Silver. I don't know him personally. You probably met him, and that's great. All the people love him, and everybody thinks he's bringing in all this money, and that's great. And me and you can run the NBA and bring in all these great sponsorships and advertisements. Stop it with the Roger Goodell and all these other guys. The fact is, this guy lets the players run the league. That is the problem right now in the NBA. I've said this many, many times. If the NBA wants to be taken seriously again, they got to stop letting these players build their Fab 3 and make the league feel like, okay, well, I want to play in LA, so I'm going to make a dominant team in LA, or I'm going to play in Miami because I want to play for Pat Riley. So I'm going to bring in Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James. To me, the NBA has made a mockery of the league. And now this is a 3-point contest now. In the regular season, it's chuck up threes. Let's be Steph Curry. There's only one Steph Curry. So I just think it's just pathetic. I think the NBA is crap, and nobody cares about the regular season anymore. It's all about the playoffs.
It's changed a lot. You're not wrong about that. And it's, I grew up in a time, and, when the 80s NBA, it was fast. They scored. They didn't have a 3-point line. I mean, you go look at some of Larry Bird's numbers, and you imagine if they had actually embraced the three. I think in one of his, in the early days of the 3-point line, I think there was a year Larry Bird took a total of 82 threes. I mean, you're like, this is the best shooter in the game right now. And, Casey Jones is telling him, yo, dude, that's not a good shot. Step inside, take a 15-footer. Whereas I will never forget this. We were in Houston, and Mike D'Antoni was coaching the Rockets at the time. And I want to say it was Nene was playing for them. And Mike D'Antoni was pretty strict about not taking a 15-footer. And you see this dude, is not a 3-point shooter, but he takes the ball and backs out into the corner and shoots a 3, and somebody goes, why did you shoot that? He goes, because I didn't want to get yelled at in practice for taking a shot that didn't work in our analytics. And I'm like, huh? It's an open 15-footer. One of the things to me that makes Shai Gilgeous-Alexander so dangerous is this dude embraces that elbow jump shot. It's like, you're going to give me a 15-footer. I'm an NBA player. I'm going to make this more often than not, and I'm going to take 2 points. And I would lose my mind sometimes on our broadcast this year where we'd have a 3-on-1 break down by 6, and guys pull up from 27 feet. I'm like, yo, nobody had any chance of stopping you getting a layup. Take the 2 points, get back, get another stop. And if you have another fast break, take another layup. If you get into your offense and the play dictates a 3-point shot, that's great. But hunting threes can be dangerous. Now, it can also lead to massive comebacks. So I get it, but I mean, not to bring up a bad subject, Tyrese Halliburton had a layup to tie that game. Instead, he gets very lucky, stepping all the way back, thinking he shot 3, gets the bounce of a lifetime. Whereas if you go back at the end of that, let's just say that shot misses, and you're going, dude, why didn't you just tie the game? Why didn't you just take the layup that you had? You had the man on skates. You had a lean. You might get an and one. You might get fouled, get 2 shots, miss one, whatever. But why didn't you go all the way to the basket? Because that's not the way kids are now. And I'll tell you what, watching some of these youth basketball tournaments, and I'm around the game a lot outside of my job, and I saw some youth leagues, and I'm like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. If you gave me 5 kids, one of them being one of the better players on the court, the other 4 knowing how to play team basketball, I'm going to kick every team's in this league's ass because we're going to set back screens, we're going to set base-to-base screens, we're going to play defense, and we're going to pass the basketball and I promise we'll win every game in this league by 15. And the one coach that did it in the league I was kind of supervising at a facility here, they won every game by like 20 points. And everybody's like, how are you beating everybody? You don't have the best athletes. It's like, because we play basketball. We don't play shooting contests. We don't play, let me get a breakaway and try to dunk when I can't even barely get over the rim, even though I want to try to look cool. And, that's part of it. That's this, like the image now for these guys. And I feel, I get it. Like they're young. There's so much money off the court. But to me, like when game time comes, who gives a flying what your
Say
outfit
it.
was walking?
Go ahead, pull the trigger. Say it, Eric.
I can't.
I'm just kidding.
But like, look, Jerry West was the greatest weaver of the four-letter bomb I've ever heard. In fact, one day at a practice, thought I was the TV guy, and they said something that pissed him off. And he wove the F word into a paragraph that I'm pretty sure the only other words involved in said paragraph were you, us, them, and paycheck and sign. And basically every other word was effer, effer, or MFer. And I was like, wow, that was impressive. And I didn't like walk away scared. I was like, I'm impressed. And then you see the Showtime piece and he goes, that's not who I am. I'm not angry like that. And I raised my hand. I said, I beg to differ. I have evidence of the contrary. But like watching that, you just want to go, what are we doing? What are we teaching kids? And, like learn how to play the game. And you watch, to me, that's why to me, Oklahoma City is so dangerous. They play the game. They play the game of basketball. They play as a team. They move the ball. They share the basketball. They don't just constantly settle for threes. They will move and defend. I mean, like, and what planet did we ever think Alex Caruso would be a bright star in the playoffs when this dude, like, he walks out there? If that dude walked into an open gym in Memphis, they'd be like, yo, who's the white boy? He can't play. And he would kick everybody's ass because he would play defense and be able to shoot. But he plays hard. And I think we've just gotten away from some of that because of all the extra stuff. And, look, it makes me sound like the old guy in my neighborhood yelling, get off my lawn. But I like the game when the game is played with ball movement. And all these people that used to kill the Warriors, and they're like, oh, I hate the Warriors. They like for 19 out of 20 years, they didn't make the playoffs. They grew their team organically, right?
Right.
They get a bag full of money when the TV contract comes. So Kevin Durant goes, hey, I want to go play with them because I played with Steph in the Olympics. Now everybody hates him. But you watch the way they play, they move the basketball. They share the basketball. They're embracing a little bit of the new style, but they will still go to the basket. And you watch Steph and like all these people like, oh, I hate Steph Curry. First thing I say is why? Why do you hate a guy that does everything the right way? The same dribble routine every day.
I plead the
works
fifth.
his ass off every day.
Oh,
because he's great.
Eric, ask
because he
Errol
chews on his
about Steph
mouthpiece.
Curry. Ask Errol about Steph
I plead
Curry.
the fifth. Plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
Ask Errol about Steph Curry.
Why don't you
because
ask your question? I'm not going to get into this. We got a lot of other segments to go. I'm not going to. Eric and me could talk off air or another show. Okay, we'll get Eric on the video feed a lot sooner than later, and we can talk about this. Yes, we'll get him on the show again in the next couple of weeks. Go ahead, John.
No, Eric, mine is honestly like you see it from a different perspective. And the one thing you've answered a lot of questions that we've all had in our private chat and certain things. But what do you think, like, when you get guys to that standard of how they can be great, how do you think the people around them, and you see their following, you see their entourage and what have you, how much do you think that affects kind of what they do? Are they yes men? Do they call them out? And how do you think that plays a part in who they are or what they become?
Okay, I was having a hard time hearing the question. Can you relay the question to me real quick?
Yeah, no, I just said the entourage that they have and the people around them.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that plays a part in who they are and what they become, or are they playing up to that part?
Yeah, that's a great question because I'm sure you saw a lot of it. And, it's hard to walk away from your friends. Like your friends are your friends, the guys you grew up with, and you find a boatload of success and you want to take care of people. And I get that. But look, some of your guys have to, understand that you're not run up and down your block anymore and, protecting each other's backs. There's a brand, there's an image, there's a There's a different lifestyle ahead, and the quote unquote keeping it real, you have to evolve. I'm sorry. Like, I have a friend of mine that if you would have picked the one guy out of my friend group that was going to become a near billionaire, he would have been the last guy I picked, but he did. And we don't see him as much. He has business meetings. He has exclusive places he goes. And as much as he'll hang out with all of us again, and none of us are, sticking our fingers in our ears at a nice restaurant or anything, but like, he invites you out and you might meet a billionaire. You might meet Tony Romo. You might meet a guy that, is just a regular dude. And in the end, we're all regular people. But when you are a guy that is in the public image, and the difference between an unknown billionaire and an athlete billionaire is astronomical. So if you can't, as somebody's buddy, realize that, then to me, you got the athlete himself. To me, like, let's use Ja as an example. His best buddy is the one everybody's kind of pointing the finger at. And he's the one who got kicked out of our arena for a year because he walked onto the court. And I said, I'm like, look, you can't walk on the court. I know he's your boy. I know 2 guys on the team are talking trash to him. You want to protect him? We got guys for that. That's not your role. Be his boy, right? And the funny thing was, the guy wanted to challenge James Johnson. He's like pointing at James Johnson, who was playing for the Pacers. James Johnson's a 7th-degree black belt. And on the air, I said, and I knew who it was, but I couldn't throw him under the bus. And I go, well, there's a fan that apparently wants to fight James Johnson, and that would be the last mistake he ever makes, because James will knock him out where he stands, and he may not ever get up. And James is a big dude. Like, you forget, like, some of these fans that talk trash to NBA players, MLB players, NFL players, you're like, yo, dude, that guy's 6'5" and 250 pounds. You're 5'11", 180. He trains his body every single day. You pound Coors Light and eat Cheetos like they're going out of style. He's going to break you in half before you blink. I don't care.
Well,
like, it doesn't matter.
Well,
I mean, some guys.
We know they're athletes, but, there's the Greg Hardys of the world that you just want to. Yeah, he tries to get into the mixed martial arts world, and
hey,
he
Memphis
tries.
Is own. Yeah. But look, I wouldn't want to fight Greg Hardy, but I wouldn't want to fight Greg Hardy, but I sure as hell would rather fight Greg Hardy than a true professional fighter.
Yeah, Greg Hardy's
hurt you.
Greg Hardy's a bitch. He beats up women. He's a bitch. Okay, he's just a big mongrel, whatever they call him. To me. I don't even know why he even stepped into the octagon, because every single time he stepped in the octagon, he got pulverized. Right. He was horrible, man.
Remember Mark Gastineau?
What happened?
Mark Gastineau tried to.
All right, Mark Gastineau doesn't have a brain. Okay, I mean, Mark Gastineau doesn't even know his name. Okay.
Is there a crazier human being on the planet? By the way, by the way, the Jets 30 for 30 was great. Getting those guys back.
All right,
I loved it.
Yes, thank you.
Look, I mean, when you have an entourage, to me, and look, we had one of the most tragic stories ever with the Lorenzen Wright murder by his ex-wife and her lover.
Horrible story.
But Ren, before that, one of the reasons the money was running out, he could never say no to his buddies. And his buddies didn't necessarily get him in trouble, but you're paying your buddies to basically be your buddy. Like, if I go win the Powerball tomorrow, and believe me, I'd love to, I don't expect 5 of my buddies to be on my doorstep going, so do I get an $80,000 a year contract now? I'll be like, hell no, dude, you go get a job and we can hang out. I'll pay for every night out. I'll pay for dinners. I'll pay for trips. But you better be working.
Stop it, Eric.
You better have a job.
Eric, if you won the lottery and you had like $200 million, you're definitely giving everyone. I always said this, and we gotta let you go, Eric. But I wish we could keep you on the whole show. But I want to say something, man. If you made $250 or $200 million in a lottery and you got all your friends, I always said this: I'm giving every one of my friends $3 million. $250 million, $200 million. What are you going to do with that money? I mean, seriously, you're not going to die with it. You save some for your kids and your family, and you enjoy your life. I mean, seriously, you only live once. Illuminati, baby.
Like I say,
Illuminati.
You help your friends. I'll tell you this, and I know you got to let me go. If I won the lottery, you know the weirdest thing I would do? I would have a brand new pair of socks for every day.
Well,
every single day I'd put on new socks.
I think you'd have a girl every single day.
Well,
that is Nathan's dream.
She would be putting on the socks for me.
You'd be Steven Seagal. You have a different girl in every room.
Well, God bless that.
By the way,
man.
that's
it's
a
hard to
great
make
way to
movies
end
like,
it. She would
Hard
be
to Kill
putting
these
on
days.
his socks.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely. Anyways, Eric, you're fantastic. Let's get you on the show. The season's almost over. Let's get you on in like a month, and we'll get you on. And and you'll stay on, and we'll talk a little basketball. We'll talk some football with you. You stay on, you hang out. You'll be a guest on the show for the whole show. How about that?
I would love it, guys. Thank you so much. I apologize for all the confusion, and I love the candor and the honesty of the program. Always appreciate being on.
Thank you, Eric.
Absolutely.
Eric Hasseltine. He's fantastic. The one and only, the Grizzlies maniac. Oh, well, I'm the maniac. He's just the Grizzly, you know. He's the Grizzly Bear. Anyway, he was fantastic. Thank you to Eric Hasseltine. I know he's a very busy man, and his video wasn't working very, very well, but he came on the audio end of it, and he gave us really, really good content. Speedy, a lot of stuff you can chop up and post it up on social media.
I remember there was one time he was in his car. I think the second time he was on the show, but it didn't cut out like that. And I think he did actually mention that Lorenzen, right? The experience.
Oh, dude, that's another horrible thing.
Yeah, he was telling the story from his perspective as he encountered some of the stuff.
Well, I was studying. There was different things that came out about it. By the way, his wife just got indicted, and she's jailed for 25 years to life. I mean, it was a long, long time before they can pin it on her, and then it took like 10 years before she got indicted. It's a horrible, horrible story. And Lorenzo Wright was one of the nicest people. I never met Lorenzo, but obviously Eric did, and said he was one of the nicest, most caring people you'll ever meet.